friends. Today we will talk about the adventure of being human. At one time or another in our lives, we all ask ourselves the same questions. Where do we come from? What is our destiny? We can consider the present moment as the passage between the past and the future. The passage between two different states is always a transition. And the human stage can also be seen as a transition between the previous stage and the one we will enter later. Seen on a large scale, the human stage is a turning point in the evolutionary line of all entities in the universe. This turning point may seem instantaneous if viewed from a cosmic perspective, but it encompasses a vast expanse of human life, of human time, comprising millions of years during which the human stage enables a unique opportunity for growth for the entity experiencing it. It is the great adventure of being human. Why do we say it is an adventure? According to the dictionary, an adventure is an unusual, exciting, and possibly dangerous experience. Certainly, it is an extraordinary adventure full of challenges, because within the evolutionary process, the human being is at a crucial point. It is crucial because it is at a transition point between what it has been before the human stage and what it is going to be from the human stage onwards. That is, between a stage of non-self-consciousness and the stage of having attained self-consciousness. It is a time of transition in which we are still in the old habits of the past, that is, from the previous stage, acting on instinct and seeking survival. Now that we are in the human stage, we are noticing the new times with other approaches and other perspectives. So we have begun to function with the power of the new times, but we still retain the mentality of the past. And that is what generates so many problems, such as wars and all the consequences that karma causes, manipulations, lies, and so on. So why does all this happen? It is not by chance that we have all these problems. We have not arrived here just because. We are here because we have determined it with our development that is not yet complete. We have not come any further because we have not yet fully developed our spirituality nor the lower aspects of being human. The full transition has not yet taken place. It will come later. For the time being, we are here learning to handle fully the human tools, like when in school children learn what corresponds to their stage until they are proficient in handling that knowledge and hence are ready to move on to the higher class. We are now getting acquainted with the human qualities so as to acquire them fully and hence come to the fullness of manhood. At the moment, we are still half-baked. In evolution, there are critical moments. They are moments of testing, and if we are not able to pass those tests, those who are not able to pass them, those who are not able to make that transition now, fall into slumber until the new cycle. Evolution globally does not stop. It continues on its path of progress. And as HPB says, it is a steep and thorny path. But for those who do not make it now, there are other opportunities ahead. Why do we say that these are critical or crucial moments? Because we want to use, and in fact we are using the tools, the higher powers, but we have not yet developed the right higher mentality. We still have the mentality of the past, so we will not be collaborating with the evolution of the all, of which we are a part. It is like trying to do integrals without first learning trigonometry, or wanting to play a sonata on the piano without first learning to read a musical score. If we do not immediately begin to make that transition in each one of us, instead of contributing our grain of sand to the forward development of the all, we will remain asleep because we will not be able to keep pace with the evolution of the whole. In fact, there are the challenges we mentioned earlier when talking about the adventure of being human, in which we are immersed to move from non-consciousness to self-consciousness, from the illusory to the real. As a unique and irreplaceable piece of the great mosaic of the universe, the human being has the responsibility to be a unifying agent in the universe, to be a transmitter of divine life. Evolution is a unitary process expressing and working out its spiritual purpose, with a plan laid out to unfold the rub and woof of life as it proceeds. Man and the universe are one and not two. They are essentially the same. The soul of every human being is a spiritual entity, conforming in its nature and structure with the highest purpose and spirit of the universe itself. And every living creature is a center through which the divine life is expressed out in the manifested world. Man is a miniature copy of the cosmos. He is a spark of divinity, and therefore the essential spiritual self of man is one with the self of the universe, one with God. And as we already said, man's supreme significance in the universe is to achieve unity so that he becomes a transmitter of divine life. According to Theosophy, in evolution, the natural order is the result of a wave of life, or a flow of consciousness, which has a descending and ascending course. In reality, there are three stages: descent into matter, period of balance between spirit and matter, and ascent to subtler planes. Blavatsky says that in the universe, every living entity either is man, has been man, or will be man. All life must pass through a human stage, through the human kingdom, to acquire a consciousness that may become immortal. It is the dharma of man, as he learns to obey, and therefore transcend the universal law of karma. This, therefore, is the stage at which it is now our turn to develop, the human stage, which is the turning point in cosmic history. And the task to be accomplished by the end of this stage, the goal, is the attainment of self-consciousness at the higher mental level and the awakening consciousness in buddhi manas. It means to attain an enlightened consciousness. We have already mentioned that man is a miniature copy of the cosmos, and that he is a spark of the divine. Man is an integrated part of the universe, and the essential nature of the evolution of humanity lies in the principle of manas, the principle of intelligence, the link between the highest spirit and the lowest matter. We all know that every principle can be subdivided, and because human beings use the lower subqualities of manas, they have been driven by the lack of ethical and moral aspects in our society. Bearing in mind that the mind is the driving principle for a human being, the means by which man's progress is accomplished, it is his higher mind that links man directly with his spiritual part of his monad. So you see, the specific form of consciousness inherent in human beings is the mind, the faculty of thinking. Knowing that the essential spiritual self of man is one with the self of the universe, it is natural for man to experience a constant urge towards the unity from which he has emanated, even if he is not conscious of it. And the tool he has in his hands is the mind, with which he manufactures thoughts that lead him to act. Hence, the responsibility he undoubtedly bears for the results of his thoughts and actions. For, as the Mahatma K8 says, the intelligence that the human being has makes him one free agent in nature, and this makes him responsible for the future, both his own and that of the planet Earth. Every creation of the mind, every thought that we release has an immediate impact on the mental sphere that humanity shares. In that sphere are all the thoughts that every human being releases, whether uplifting or toxic. The latter lead to disagreement, discord, wars, because they are basically based on personal selfishness. Only with lofty thoughts of higher quality can we counteract the gross weight of negative and lower thoughts that wander freely in the mental sphere of our planet. To contribute to peace in the world, we need to contribute with our own inner peace. By encouraging higher thoughts, those that come from the planes of spiritual consciousness, the higher levels of consciousness where compassion resides. By opening our mind to higher thoughts, that is, with compassionate thoughts, we cooperate, we collaborate in the construction of a new humanity capable of functioning from a higher, impersonal level of consciousness with no walls, no separation of any kind, and where the common foundation is compassion, understanding, unity. This will be the new humanity of intuition, a new humanity that we must reach once and for all, leaving behind for good the shackles of separation that are holding us back so much and hindering our progress towards fulfilling our destiny as complete humans. On the path chosen towards our spiritual realization, it is clear that only through training will we acquire the necessary qualities to walk the path and become one with it. At this point in our life, we have made a decision to live as an example of compassionate living, with a compassionate mind. What does it mean to have a compassionate mind? All we have to do is to cultivate the right mind, to constantly train it with higher thoughts, inspired by its higher Buddhic aspects. Just as one treads the path, one becomes the path. When our mind is transformed into a compassionate mind, it will mean that we have integrated compassion into our inner being. By thinking with compassion, we will become compassion itself, and we will be approaching the state of consciousness of a bodhisattva. So, we humans stick to the old habits and the old mentality of the past. That's what makes being human an adventure. Daring to be great and make the step into the future by becoming compassionate, living for the totality and not for the self only. No doubt, being human is an inevitable experience we all undergo and from which we will graduate cum laude to grow ever higher upwards, ever deeper inwards in the history of the glorious evolution of our soul. Before I finish, I would like to quote one of the first letters written to Sinet after KH's return from the 3 months retreat, offering Sinet his first moment of leisure. That's letter 45 or 47 chronologically. The Mahatma tells Sinet he is self once more, and then he asks, "What is self?" referring most probably to the human personality, which is indeed a passing guest. As already said, at some time or other, we all ask this question in our efforts to understand the various aspects of ourselves. And KH goes on saying that it is Sinet's inner self that reconciles the Mahatma to the weaknesses or flaws of his outer personality. And he adds that great man is he who is strongest in the service, in the exercise of patience. Then KH calls Sinet's attention, our attention, to the human condition, and says, look around you. See the 3 poisons raging within the heart of man: anger, greed, delusion, and the 5 obscurities that prevent humanity from seeing truth: envy, passion, vacillation, sloth, and unbelief. Looking at the 3 poisons and the 5 obscurities, we see to what an extent humankind in general is still subject to these defilements of the mind. And the Mahatma adds, man, after all, is the victim of his surroundings while he lives in the atmosphere of society. We will agree that it is not easy to rid ourselves of these poisons and obscurities of personal self-interest and egotism. Yet, if we are serious in our aspirations and intentions, this is the work to which we, as students of Theosophy, have been called. Thank you.